Buddy, it's Dnb Muzik in the lab with Blackley. Hope you're all well. Right about now I'm going to be going through a bass tutorial with you, showing you how I process my bass. The synth that I'm going to use is Serum, but I'm not going to get too much into detail with each plugin. I'm just going to basically show you the plugin chain. And yeah, this is the sound before any plugins have been put on it. And this will be the end result. So yeah, as you can hear, quite a massive difference from the original sound. So what I'm going to do is just guide you through each plugin and tell you what it's doing. What I'm going to do is start off with Isotope Trash 2, a distortion plugin. Basically what I'm doing is just adding some gentle push on the mid and dry slider, not all the way, just half and half basically. This is the before and this is after. Yeah, so as you can hear, it's adding quite a lot of presence to the sound already. The next plugin that I use is actually in a group. I'm using Ableton, and what you can do, you can actually group plugins and in effect create a send to your dry signal. I'll give you an example here, a compressor, and what I'm going to do is group it by right clicking and then click group, and then I'm going to click this box here or circle, and this is going to bring up the chain window. What this is, in effect, is a channel within inside the group now. So what I'm going to do is right click and create chain, and what this has done has created a channel with inside this group. So now we have two channels. The first channel is got our compressor on, and the second channel has nothing. If we click this chain box here, it brings up a new window, and if we drag these across all the way to the end, and then the top blue box all the way across, it creates this slider. If you look, nice. Right, and what that does, if you solo this channel and play the bass, it's blending it in. The more I slide up this slider, so what that does in effect is creating like a send to your original bass, which is underneath. Whatever you want to blend in, whether it be a reverb or anything that you can think of, that's how I do it anyway in Ableton. I just feel that it's better than using these sends, because I found you can't control the overall level of the sound. Right, so what we've got here is Homicide. It's a distortion plugin, and if I solo the top channel, you can hear the grit that it's adding to it. This is Homicide. What I've done is just got a fab filter Pro Q to EQ, and I've taken out some of the low end and a bit of the high, and the way I've done that is just swept across the sound, and I've picked out, like with my ears, that bit's not very good, whatever. Like basically it's a tone that didn't work well with the sound, it's too harsh or whatever, so I've taken it down. I'm blending that in with my original signal, so if I turn it off, it's not got as much grit and high. Now I've turned it on, you can hear it's got that grit and high. Nice, right, we like that. So the next plugin is, it's another group, and it's actually got a group of plugins inside the top channel, which I'm in effect blending again into the dry. What we've got 3 EQs, a compressor, and a limiter. So the EQs are just taking out the low end and the high end, and then the compressor is just gluing it back together, and the limiter is just enhancing it basically. It's Oxford limiter, that one. This is just a standard compressor from Ableton, and again 2 fab filter Qs. So this is what you can hear coming through the blended channel. Not a lot really, is it? It's just a bit of high end tops. And when you hear that, you think, well, is it actually going to do anything? But when you turn it off and then turn it back on, you can hear that it's just bringing out that gritty layer, just a bit more, yeah, just making it a bit more prominent in the mix. The next thing is a Ableton saturator, is just thickening up the bass sound. again just giving it more thickness, more punch. The last things on the chain are EQs and a compressor. So I felt that I needed to take some low end and some highness out of the bass, so I've done that. So I've just taken it and shaped it with a lot of EQs, just notching out like I did earlier, just listening to the sound. What I've done mostly is cleaned it up, and then what I've done here is compressor. I've glued all this back together. All this EQ can kind of bring it all a bit more tighter together. So if I turn that off and now turn it on, so it's just bringing it back together again, if you know what I mean. But again, it's a lot more cleaner. If I turn these three off, to me it's just a lot more cleaner to my ear. Right, and the last thing on the chain is just a camel fat with a blank preset. That's just chopping off any volume peaks. Yeah, so just a little recap on that. We've gone from this sound to this sound with that chain of plugins there. So what I'm going to do now is show you the group. So what I've done with that channel, I've right clicked it and I've gone to group. You won't see that there now, but that's what I did. In effect, created like a bus or a group channel, so you could put like loads of different basses in there basically, and they're all going to get affected by these chains here. What I use is universal audio. You have to have either a Firewire box or a PCI card on your PC or Mac. Basically what the plugins are, they're old analog replicas of old vintage analog hardware. So the first one that I'm going to use is the Fatso. This is a tape saturator and it's a compressor all in one. Yeah, I'm basically just using it just to add another layer to the bass that's more thicker. That's it soloed, and this is the original dry signal. Again, just using these groups, and this is when I play it together. So as you can tell, it's definitely thickening up the bass. The next thing that I use is Lexicon Reverb. It's another UAD plugin. If I solo the wet channel, you can hear just the reverb by itself. Again, I've just EQ'd the low end out of it, because with reverbs you don't really want a lot of low end in it, just muddies up your mix basically. With a utility, I've just basically taken the stereo width down to 70%. Yeah, that's basically it really, and I'm blending that into the dry signal. And that puts that bass in the mix basically, so when you're hearing the track in full, rather than the bass being dead at the front, it's just putting it back a little bit. So yeah, that's what again, it depends what character of the bass you're going for, but in this instance I've just thought, yeah, it'd be nice with a bit of reverb. Next one is a Pultec EQ. This is another UAD plugin. It's just, like I say, it's just an EQ. This is just adding some mid thickness again, just bringing in some warmth to the sound. And this is the dry signal. So yeah, play them together and turn it off, turn it back on. So just adding a little bit of mid thickness to it. So last thing that I've done is just put an EQ on it. This is taking out a bit of area around the kick, the snare, and a bit more mids. The last thing I do is just put a camel fat on there again, just to chop off any peaks. So if we look at the sound now on a spectrum analyzer, we've got it. No area here, because that's where our sub's going to be. So if I solo the sub, you see that pop in there. Nice. So in effect, we've gone from a sound that doesn't really have a lot of high in it to a gritty high sound. Yeah, really, it's all about the bass processing, distortions, and EQing basically, and a little bit of compression. And yeah, you can transform your sound from something that you wouldn't expect it to be basically. Just put a little bit of time into the EQing, and yeah, just don't rush things. The sub's nice and simple, there's nothing mental, it's just a serum again with a sub preset. This is a Little Labs Voice of God. This is a UAD plugin. Just gives it some warmth basically. That filter taking out the highs in the sub, a little bit of compression and a sidechain if needed, and again just a camel fat. So yeah, just keep it nice and simple for the sub really. If you've got any questions about the tutorial, if I missed anything, or if you want to ask about more in depth about a plugin, feel free to hit me up on my Twitter. That's at Blackley RCD, or on Facebook it's David Blackley. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Big up to all the Dnb Muzik crew, and yeah, take it easy.